Well, Mr. President, welcome to the White House. Welcome to the Oval Office.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor for me and for Chile to be here.
Well, I tell you, it's all right. Look, you know, the only problem I have with you is you're too young.
That's not a problem.
You know, I got elected when I was 29. You had to be 30 years old to be a senator. I had to wait. President, that's pretty good, man.
Well,
That's why I called you.
I was elected when I was 35 and 27 for Congress.
That's it.
You were elected at 29, you said?
29, yeah.
29.
You have to be 30. I had to wait 17 days.
Well, we are sharing the same path then. Hope to get as far as you.
Well, it's great to have you here and happy to see you again. You know, this year Chile and the United States celebrate 200 years. 200 years of bilateral relations. And today, I think our partnership's stronger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And one of the things that together, through our America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity, we're going to grow the economies of the hemisphere from the bottom up and the middle out. You know, I've said many times that there's no reason why this hemisphere shouldn't be the most prosperous, most democratic hemisphere in the world. We have all the makings of that, and we're standing up for democracy and freedom, human rights, the rights of workers. And I know we share those views, you and I. And together we're working to address historic levels of migration in the hemisphere. A lot of people moving around, and I admire the way you handle it, particularly the Venezuelan refugees, which you've set an example for the region. And so as we embark on this next century partnership, let's make it even stronger.
Well, that's why I'm here for. Thank you for receiving me and my delegation. We're celebrating 200 years of diplomatic relationships, but also 20 years since our free trade agreement, which has bring a lot of benefits for both of us. I'm looking forward to strengthen our relationships, and I'm glad to be here also through the American Partnership, the APEP meeting. Hope we can talk on that, and well, we have a lot of values that we share. Of course, the preoccupation for human rights, democracy, and also the rights of the workers in the world. I saw you supporting workers here in the States in a couple of weeks ago, and I think that's very valuable from our president. And well, we have a lot of topics to discuss: the green transition, of course, migration, the economic development, and of course some issues that are going on in this world that it's really hard nowadays. But I know with the respecting human rights and fighting for democracy, we can reach some of the goals we share.
Well, you know, we, in my view, there comes a time, maybe every 6 to 8 generations, where the world changes in a very short time. And
We are at that time now.
We are, and I think what happens in the next 2-3 years is going to determine what the world looks like for the next 5 or 6 decades. And so together, maybe we can make it better.
Let's work for it.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President.